The scent of white roses filled the air, mixing with the soft hum of violins. Adelaide Pierce stood before the mirror, radiant in her wedding gown, silk cascading like moonlight, a smile trembling on her lips. Everyone said she was lucky. Garrett Pierce, heir to the Pierce Group, had chosen her. Their love, though born of arrangement, had blossomed into something real, or so she believed. Her bridesmaids laughed and fluttered around her like butterflies, pinning the last strand of her hair. She almost felt at peace. Almost. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Congratulations, Adelaide. Hope you enjoy your wedding gift." Attached, a video file. She hesitated. Curiosity won. The world went silent as the video began to play. Her heart stopped. Garrett, her groom, in bed with another woman, laughing, whispering, kissing, in the same apartment she had decorated with him. The woman's face turned toward the camera, smug, familiar. Amanda, her step-sister. Adelaide's knees buckled. The phone slipped from her hand, clattering onto the floor. The laughter from the video still echoed faintly. Outside, the wedding bells began to chime. Her world blurred into white noise. Distant voices, a door opening, someone calling her name. "Adelaide, are you ready?" Her mother peeked in, smiling with pride she'd never shown before. A lie. Everything was a lie. Adelaide forced a breath, wiped her tears, and stood. Her reflection in the mirror was haunting. Perfect makeup, haunted eyes. She picked up her phone again. Another message. "You should thank me, sis. He never really loved you anyway." Amanda. Of course, it was Amanda. Adelaide typed a reply, but deleted it. No. Not yet. Not here. She walked down the aisle, every step heavy, every heartbeat sharp and cold. Garrett waited at the altar, his smile so confident it made her sick. He took her hands, his grip warm. "You look beautiful," he whispered. She smiled, a hollow, practiced thing. "I bet I do." The ceremony blurred together. Vows, rings, applause. And when he kissed her, she tasted betrayal. The reception was a blur of laughter and champagne. Garrett moved through the crowd, charming guests, toasting their future. Adelaide sat still, glass untouched, watching him. Every movement of his hand, every glance at her, rehearsed, empty. Amanda arrived late, of course, in silver, always stealing the spotlight. She hugged Adelaide too tightly, lips brushing her ear. "He said my name last night." Adelaide froze. The smile on Amanda's lips was wicked, triumphant. For a moment, Adelaide saw red. Her hand twitched toward her champagne glass, but she caught herself. Not here. Not yet. Instead, she smiled back. "Enjoy the party, sister. It might be your last." Amanda blinked, surprised by the calm in her tone. Adelaide rose, excused herself, and walked out into the night air, leaving the noise behind. The city stretched before her, alive, endless, indifferent. She stood there for a long time, the wind lifting her veil like a ghost of something lost. That night, when the guests were gone and the lights dimmed, Garrett tried to pull her close. "You've been quiet all day," he said softly. "Are you nervous?" She turned to him, her eyes cold. "Do you love me, Garrett?" He blinked, surprised. "Of course I do. What kind of question?" She held up her phone, pressed play. The color drained from his face. "Adelaide, it's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think," she interrupted, her voice trembling but steady. "Tell me how long. Tell me if you ever meant a word you said." Garrett sank into silence. guilt, fear, shame, all painted across his face. Finally, he said, "It was a mistake. One time, she came to me." Adelaide laughed, a hollow, broken laugh. "You sound just like her." She turned away. "Sleep somewhere else tonight." The next morning, the world woke to chaos. The video had been leaked. Not just to Adelaide, to her friends, to Garrett's colleagues, even to the family's investors. Someone, Amanda, had sent it everywhere. Phones rang nonstop. The Pierce reputation began to crumble in real time. Garrett begged, pleaded, tried to explain, but the damage was done. Adelaide watched it all in silence. Her life, her marriage, her love, her name, reduced to gossip. By evening, she packed her bags. He reached for her wrist. "Where are you going?" "Away," she said simply. "I don't live in your shadow anymore." "Adelaide, please." She looked back once, her eyes soft with sorrow but fierce with resolve. "You chose her. Now live with her." And with that, Adelaide Pierce walked out into the rain. Her gown soaked, her heart shattered, but her spirit burning. The rain fell like glass, slicing through the silence of the city. Adelaide didn't know where she was going. She just drove, headlights blurring, heart racing, wedding ring cold against her skin. She ended up in front of an old building, a small art studio, tucked between forgotten shops. The place had once belonged to her mentor, Evelyn Grace, the woman who had taught her to paint when her parents sent her away for being too emotional. Adelaide unlocked the rusted door. The scent of oil paint and dust wrapped around her like an old friend. She stood in the middle of the studio, still in her soaked wedding gown, mascara running down her cheeks. And then she screamed, a raw animal sound. Everything she had been holding in, betrayal, humiliation, heartbreak, poured out in one violent, beautiful eruption. When it was done, she tore off the veil and dropped it into the trash. That night, she painted until dawn. The first stroke of red across the canvas looked like blood, the second like fire, the third like freedom. Weeks passed. The world whispered. The Pierces became a scandal, Amanda became a sensation, and Garrett disappeared from headlines, humiliated, broken. But Adelaide was reborn. She cut her hair, changed her number. She took up a new name, Lena Gray, and began selling her paintings under that alias. Her work exploded in popularity. Each piece carried a quiet rage, a defiant beauty that critics called hauntingly intimate. Little did they know that every brushstroke was revenge, every canvas a confession of what had been done to her. And then came the invitation, a charity gala hosted by the Pierce Group. Garrett and Amanda were to present a new line of luxury art investments, featuring exclusive modern artists. And among them, Lena Gray. Adelaide smiled when she received the email. "Oh, perfect," she whispered. "You want to sell my pain? Let's see how much it costs you." The night of the gala glittered with gold and deceit. Adelaide walked in wearing a black silk gown, simple, elegant, but dangerous in its stillness. No one recognized her, not at first. Garrett stood on stage, rehearsed and polished, Amanda at his side, draped in diamonds that weren't hers to wear. As Garrett introduced Lena Gray's paintings, the crowd murmured in awe. Her collection was titled The Anatomy of Betrayal. Each piece, a metaphor. A man with two faces, a woman burning in the rain, a shattered ring floating in darkness. Amanda frowned, recognizing the symbols too late, and then Adelaide stepped forward, slowly, calmly. Gasps rippled through the hall. "Adelaide Pierce," someone whispered. Amanda went pale. Garrett froze mid-sentence. Adelaide took the microphone. "Good evening," she said softly. "I'm honored to present my latest work, inspired by the people who taught me what betrayal really looks like." She turned toward Garrett and Amanda. "Thank you. Both." The crowd erupted, cameras flashed, and with one elegant smile, Adelaide destroyed them. Publicly, beautifully, irreversibly. The fallout was immediate. Pierce Group stocks plummeted. Amanda was dropped by every sponsor. Garrett's board voted him out within a week, and Adelaide, or rather, Lena, became the name on everyone's lips. But revenge, she soon realized, was not the same as peace. Late one night she returned to the studio. The moonlight spilled across her unfinished canvas. A woman standing before a mirror, face divided in two. She stared at it for a long time. Garrett had hurt her. Amanda had betrayed her. But the version of Adelaide who had loved them both. She was gone. And in her place stood someone she didn't yet recognize. Her phone buzzed, a message from Garrett. "I deserve everything you did, but please, meet me, just once, no cameras, no lies." She almost deleted it, almost. But curiosity, or maybe closure, made her type one word back. "Tomorrow." They met at the pier, the same one where they'd taken wedding photos, back when she still believed in forever. Garrett looked older, hollowed out. "I don't expect forgiveness," he said quietly. "But I need you to know. Amanda used me. She leaked the video. She wanted your life, your name. When I realized it, it was too late." Adelaide stared at him. "And did you love her?" "No," he said. "I hated myself for it. Every day since." The wind tugged at her hair. For the first time, she saw not the man who betrayed her, but the man who destroyed himself in the process. "I used to think revenge would heal me," she whispered. "But it didn't. It just made me as empty as you." He swallowed hard. "Then maybe we both start over, separately." She nodded. She turned to leave, but paused. "Garrett?" He looked up. "Thank you," she said, "for finally telling the truth." And then she walked away, the dawn breaking behind her, the first light of freedom painting her face in gold. That morning, she finished her final painting. It was titled The Mirror. Mirrory. It showed a woman standing before her reflection, not broken, not vengeful, but whole. Beneath it, she wrote her new signature, Adelaide Gray. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of Thornton Architectural Group, painting everything in warm gold. Adelaide, now officially Adelaide Gray, stood in the marble lobby, portfolio in hand, heart pounding beneath her beige trench coat. 3 months had passed since the gala. In that time, her art had sold worldwide, but she'd grown tired of fame. She wanted creation, not chaos. She wanted to build again. Reginald Thornton appeared at the top of the grand staircase, tailored suit, perfectly cut, his presence commanding every gaze in the room. "You're late," he said casually. "I'm exactly on time." "Same thing," he smirked. "Come on. Let's see if you're as good with steel as you are with paint." The elevator doors slid shut behind them, and for the first time since her life had fallen apart, Adelaide felt something strange. Hope. Reginald's office overlooked the city glass, chrome, and clouds. "Design is truth," he said. "No lies, no excuses. You put your soul in the structure, or it collapses." It wasn't just advice, it was a warning. He handed her a blueprint for the Evercrest Tower, the biggest project in the city's history. "This is your test." She studied it. And if I fail? He leaned closer. Then you're just another pretty face that paints pain instead of fixing it. Adelaide met his eyes steady. Then I won't fail. The weeks that followed were brutal. Late nights, endless revisions, fights over design philosophy. Reginald was demanding, brilliant, infuriating. But he listened. He challenged her, never pitied her. When their hands brushed over a model one evening, she froze. He didn't move away. "Careful," he murmured. "That foundation's unstable." She looked at him. "Are we still talking about architecture?" He smiled. "Maybe." Success came fast. The Evercrest Tower's design won national acclaim, and Adelaide became the face of innovation. But fame brought shadows. One morning, she received an invitation handwritten, unsigned. "Pierce Family Estate, 7 p.m. We need to talk." Her pulse quickened. She almost tore it up. Instead, she went. The mansion hadn't changed, but she had. Amanda sat by the fireplace, thinner, softer, almost fragile. "I wanted to see you," she said. "I'm sorry." Adelaide didn't believe it. "You ruined my life." Amanda nodded. "And mine too. Garrett's gone. Spencer disowned me. I'm all that's left." Silence stretched between them, heavy as glass. "Why now?" Adelaide whispered. Amanda's eyes glistened. "Because you won. And I need you to teach me how to survive losing." For a second, Adelaide almost felt pity. Almost. But some wounds weren't meant to close. She stood. "You'll figure it out." Then she walked away. Outside, rain began to fall, soft, cleansing, final. That night, Adelaide couldn't sleep. Amanda's voice haunted her. But when she looked out the window of her apartment, she saw Reginald's car idling across the street. He was waiting. She went down, barefoot, wrapped in a shawl. He rolled the window down. "Can't sleep?" "Too many ghosts." "Then burn them." She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "Teach me how." He opened the passenger door. "Get in." They drove until the city disappeared. At a quiet cliff above the ocean, Reginald pulled out a small metal box and handed it to her. Inside were matches. "Everything you can't let go of. Say it, then light it." Adelaide closed her eyes and whispered, "I loved you, Garrett, and I hate you for it." She struck the match. The flame danced, caught the night wind, and died. Then she whispered again, "Amanda, I forgive you." Another match, another spark. Finally she whispered, "Adelaide Pierce, goodbye." The fire glowed brighter, then vanished. Reginald didn't speak. He simply reached out and took her hand. And for the first time, she didn't pull away. Months passed. The Evercrest Tower neared completion, and with it, a new chapter of her life. One morning, Reginald appeared in her office doorway. "The board's expanding. I'm giving you a seat." She looked up, stunned. "That's not a favor?" He shook his head. "No, it's recognition." Her throat tightened. "Why me?" "Because you built something unbreakable," he said. "And because I trust you." It was the closest he had ever come to saying, "I love you." When the ribbon-cutting day arrived, the city glittered below them. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashed. As Adelaide stood on the balcony overlooking everything she had built, she finally understood. This wasn't revenge. It was resurrection. The Evercrest Tower opened with thunderous applause. Adelaide's design was hailed as a living sculpture of rebirth. Investors, politicians, and the press surrounded her, flashing cameras like fireworks. But in the crowd, she spotted a face she never expected to see again. Garrett Barnard. He looked older, thinner, his once confident smile replaced by guilt. When their eyes met, he froze. She didn't flinch. Later that night at the after-party, she felt his presence before she saw him. He stood by the balcony, drink in hand, watching her. "Congratulations," he said finally. "You made it." "I did," she replied coldly. "Without you." He looked down, shame washing over him. "I deserved that." "No, Garrett," she said softly. "You deserved worse." He swallowed hard, then whispered, "I left Amanda." Adelaide turned, unimpressed. "You left everyone, eventually." And then she walked away, her heels echoing like gunshots across the marble floor. From the shadows, Reginald watched, proud but uneasy, because for the first time he saw something in Adelaide's eyes he hadn't seen before: closure. 2 weeks later, the city buzzed with rumors. Reginald's rivals at Crown Holdings were preparing to launch a competing skyscraper, one designed by none other than Garrett Barnard. The irony was cruel. Her ex-husband had become her professional enemy. At the morning briefing, Reginald tossed a newspaper across the table. "Looks like the past wants a rematch." Adelaide's jaw tightened. "Then let's give them a fight." Reginald grinned. "That's my girl." But behind the banter, tension grew. Board members whispered that Reginald favored Adelaide too openly, that his judgment was clouded. When the next board meeting came, one of them said what everyone was thinking. "She's talented, but she's a risk. The Pierce scandal still follows her. The investors are nervous." Reginald's voice was sharp as glass. "You invest in brilliance, not gossip." Still, the seed of doubt was planted. The sabotage began small. A leaked blueprint here, a corrupted file there. Then, one night, the entire Evercrest design database crashed. Adelaide stayed at the office until dawn, trying to restore it. Reginald found her at her desk, pale, exhausted, eyes rimmed red. "Who did this?" he demanded. She didn't answer. She didn't have to. Garrett. The attack was too personal, too surgical. He knew her methods, her systems, her mind. "I'll handle it," Reginald said, pulling out his phone. But Adelaide grabbed his wrist. "No, I'll handle it. You taught me to build. Now I'll fight." Her voice was calm, terrifyingly calm. The next morning she walked into Crown Holdings with nothing but her phone and a USB drive. She demanded to see Garrett. Security hesitated, but when she gave her name, the room fell silent. He came out within minutes, surprise flickering across his face. "What are you doing here?" he asked. "Ending this." She tossed the drive on his desk. "You leaked my files, used my code, and passed it off as your own. But you forgot one thing. Every design I make carries a signature hidden in the digital layers. My name is written in your project's DNA." Garrett paled. "Adelaide," she cut him off. "You wanted revenge. Fine. But I'm not the girl you betrayed. I'm the woman who built the city you're trying to destroy." When she left, he sat in silence, staring at the drive, and realizing he had lost her for good. That night, Adelaide found Reginald on the rooftop of Evercrest Tower, watching the storm roll over the skyline. Lightning flashed across his face, carving shadows into his expression. "You were right," he said. "He was behind it." "I know." He turned to her. "You handled it like I would have." "That's the problem, isn't it?" she said quietly. "I'm starting to become you." Reginald studied her for a long time. "And you think that's bad?" She looked out at the city, rain streaking down the glass. "It's dangerous." He stepped closer, voice low. You can't build an empire without danger, Adelaide. I didn't want an empire, she whispered. I wanted peace. He smiled faintly, almost sadly. Peace is for people who've never been burned. The thunder cracked, and in that flash of light she kissed him, not out of passion, but defiance. For the first time in years, she didn't feel weak. She felt alive. Weeks later, Crown Holdings collapsed under plagiarism lawsuits. Adelaide's evidence destroyed Garrett's career completely, but victory tasted like ash. Because in the wreckage of success, she saw what Reginald had always known. Power came with isolation. She had money, fame, respect, but at night, the city outside her window looked hollow. When she finally saw Reginald again, it wasn't in his office. It was at the construction site of their next project, a children's hospital. He handed her a hard hat, smirking. From destruction comes design, right? She smiled. Right. He looked at her for a long time. You've changed. So have you. Maybe, he said softly. But you're still the only person who ever made me want to build something that lasts. For once, she didn't have an answer, because maybe, just maybe, he was right. A month passed since the collapse of Crown Holdings. The city moved on, but Adelaide didn't. She sat in her apartment, surrounded by silent trophies, awards, blueprints, and news articles celebrating her triumph. Yet the quiet was suffocating. Her phone buzzed once. A message from her mother. Proud of you. Saw the news. She stared at the words until they blurred. Funny, she thought, how pride always arrived when it no longer mattered. Reginald hadn't called since the hospital project began. Rumors whispered through the architecture world that he was stepping down, that he was ill, that his empire had grown too heavy even for him. Adelaide didn't believe rumors. She believed patterns, and this one felt like an ending. She picked up her coat and left. Reginald's office was almost unrecognizable. The shelves once stacked with architectural models now stood empty. He sat by the window, gazing at the skyline, their skyline, his silver hair gleaming like frost in the fading light. You shouldn't have come, he said without turning around. I had to, she replied. You disappeared. He gave a low laugh. I taught you too well. You notice everything now. She walked closer. Are you sick? No, just tired. He looked at her finally and she saw it. The exhaustion, the loneliness, the faint trace of regret in his eyes. I built towers to touch the sky, he said softly. But no one told me you can't live up there. Adelaide swallowed hard. Then come down. He smiled faintly. And do what? Sit still? Watch someone else build? Yes, she said, watch me. He blinked, surprised. For the first time in years, she wasn't his protege, his apprentice, his echo. She was his equal. The hospital opened 6 months later. The project was beautiful, not grand like the Evercrest Tower, but kind. Sunlit, warm, filled with quiet laughter instead of applause. Adelaide stood at the entrance as children ran through the hallways, their joy echoing like music. Garrett attended the opening. He didn't speak to her, only watched from afar. When their eyes met, he nodded once, not asking for forgiveness, just offering recognition. That was enough. Later, on the roof garden overlooking the city, Reginald joined her. You did it, he said, without burning anything down. She smiled. Growth. He laughed softly. Maybe you're better than your teacher after all. She turned to him. You taught me how to build things that last, but this time I built something that heals. He studied her face, the strength, the calm, the light. You remind me, he said, that some storms end in sunrise. Months later, Adelaide bought a small studio overlooking the river. No assistants, no headlines, just her sketches, and the hum of the city below. Sometimes Reginald visited. Sometimes he didn't. They no longer needed promises or definitions. What they shared was simpler, a quiet understanding built on respect and ruin. Garrett left the city for good. Her family tried to reach out, but Adelaide only sent one letter back. I forgive you, but I've already found my home. At night, she'd step out onto her balcony, coffee in hand, and look at the skyline, the towers gleaming in the distance, each one a monument to everything she had survived. One of them bore her name, the other bore his, and between them, a hospital where laughter bloomed like dawn after rain. The city whispered with life again, and Adelaide finally smiled. Not the sharp smile of revenge, but the quiet one of peace. She had been reborn twice now, once through fire and once through forgiveness. And this time she was truly free.